Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. They say you know when something breaks, that there's a sound, a shift, a feeling in your gut. But in my case, there was nothing. Just a quiet Tuesday and a wife who kissed me on the cheek and said she was meeting her old friend Betsy for dinner downtown. Jessica had always been a little impulsive. Spontaneous, she called it. Last-minute road trips, switching jobs twice in a year, changing her hair color like it was a hobby. I was the opposite, routine man. I worked in heating and cooling, spent most days fixing furnaces, AC units, ductwork, paid bills early, grilled steak on Sundays. We were one of those couples people said balanced each other out. That night, I stayed home, heated up some leftover chili, and later decided to grab a drink at a quiet spot I'd been going to for years. Behind the counter was Gary, used to be a contractor before he started bartending. We'd crossed paths years back when he helped me fix the framing on my dad's old porch. Solid guy. Doesn't talk much unless there's a reason. The place was mostly empty, like it always is during the week. I took my usual seat near the end, and Gary handed me a cold one without a word. We talked a little. Basketball, the weather, a busted AC unit he wanted me to look at. Then, just as I was finishing my second beer, Gary said, "Saw Jessica the other night." I looked up. "You did?" "Yeah, at that wine bar by the river. She was with 3 other people. Some guy, tall, clean-cut, maybe mid-40s, and another couple. I didn't go over, just saw them from the patio. They were laughing, dressed up nice. Kinda had that double date vibe." I smiled and took a sip. My throat felt tighter than usual. When I got home, Jessica was already in bed, scrolling her phone, hair still done, makeup barely touched. "How was your dinner?" I asked, pulling off my boots. She didn't look up. "It was fine. Betsy's going through stuff with her ex. We were out late." I smiled. "Hope you helped." She kissed me. Always do. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning was eggs and toast, like always. Jessica hummed to herself while packing her lunch. Nothing unusual, except now I was paying attention. She didn't meet my eyes much. Maybe she was just tired, or maybe I was finally seeing things for what they were. I took a sip of coffee. "Hey, we should check out that wine bar by the river sometime." She looked up. "Which one?" "Not sure of the name. One of the guys at the bar mentioned it. Said it's nice. Outdoor seating, live music. Figured it might be your style. You ever been?" Jessica shrugged, casual. "No, but sure, sounds good." But I caught it. The pause, the flicker in her eyes, the way she looked past me instead of at me. She turned back to her bag and slid her lunch inside like it was any other morning. No questions about the place, no curiosity, just moved on. And that was all I needed. Gary had seen her there. Patio table, wine glass, hand on some guy's arm. Now she was standing here, saying she'd never even been. "Cool," I said, rinsing my mug. "We'll plan it." She kissed my cheek on the way out. "Love you." "Love you too," I said. And just like that, the lie settled between us. Quiet as dust, heavy as stone. Later that day, I checked the trash in the bathroom. That's not something I normally do. But there it was, a crumpled receipt, still half-folded, tucked between a tissue and a used makeup wipe. Dinner at Laurent's, a wine and tapas place uptown, not downtown, not where she said she was, and definitely not Betsy's kind of place. I sat on the edge of the tub for a second, staring at the receipt. Could have been innocent. Could have been a mistake. But it wasn't. That night, I didn't ask her about it. I didn't accuse. I just watched. She made jokes during the show we were watching, leaned into me on the couch, laughed like everything was perfect. And maybe to her, it was. A couple days later, in the late afternoon, she told me she was picking up extra hours at the office. She works in dental billing, part-time. Said someone had quit and they were behind on claims. "You'll be back late?" I asked. She grabbed her bag and slid on her coat. "Probably around 10. I nodded. "All right, drive safe." She kissed me quick and walked out the door. After she left, I sat there on the couch for 20 minutes, staring at the receipt again. Laurent's, 2 glasses of Merlot, appetizer for 2, 1 dessert. Betsy wasn't with her. That much I knew. Later that night, after she got back and went to sleep, I got up and walked into the kitchen. Her phone was on the counter, plugged in like always. I picked it up and went through her messages. Nothing stood out. No strange names. No late-night texts. Nothing that screamed what I already knew. It was too clean. So I installed a tracking app. Something quiet, discreet. Synced it to my phone in less than a minute. Then I dragged it into a folder with a bunch of other apps she never opened. She wouldn't notice. Not yet. Then Friday came. She said she had to work late again. But she wore a red blouse I hadn't seen before. Not office wear. Not for billing. Not for spreadsheets. She curled her hair and sprayed on perfume she never used around me. "You look nice," I said, tying my work boots. She smiled, soft. "Just want to feel good tonight. Been a long week." I kissed her cheek. "Drive safe." After she left, I waited. Gave it an hour. Then opened the tracking app. The dot didn't go toward the dental office. It slid across the screen toward the other side of town. The area full of condos, wine bars, and rooftop lounges. Not a single office building around. I grabbed my keys and left. I didn't have a plan. Just wanted to know. The app showed her parked off Wyland Avenue. I knew that street. Mostly rentals. I rolled by once. Then again slower. There she was. Third-floor balcony. Hair loose now, wine glass in hand, laughing. She wasn't alone. A guy in a button-down shirt and slacks leaned on the railing beside her. His hand moved to her lower back. Quick, familiar. She didn't flinch. I parked down the block and just sat there, headlights off. Watched her lean into him, like she used to lean into me. Snapped a few photos. Nothing dramatic, just enough to show it was her, and it wasn't me she was with. After maybe 15 minutes, I drove off. Didn't speed, didn't curse, just drove in silence. Window cracked, radio off. There wasn't anything to say. She got home after midnight. I was still up, fixing a loose hinge on the pantry door. "Sorry I'm late," she said, kicking her shoes off by the stairs. "The systems were down, and we had to redo half the claims. Nightmare." I stood up, wiped my hands. "That right?" "Yeah," she nodded, walking past me to the bathroom. "I could use a back rub?" I looked at her, standing there like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't seen her on that balcony a few hours ago with someone else's hands on her. "You're tired," I said. "Get some sleep." She smiled. "You always take care of me." I said nothing, just watched her walk away. She looked relaxed, safe, like nothing was cracking beneath her feet. That's when I knew she didn't think I'd ever leave. The thing about betrayal is, once you see it, you start noticing everything. How she glanced at her phone a beat too long, how she paused before answering simple questions, how her stories changed slightly depending on the day. I didn't need to ask her anything. I already had what I needed, proof. What I didn't have was an exit, so I started building one. I found a small one-bedroom unit behind a hardware store 2 towns over, furnished. Nothing fancy, but quiet. No shared walls, no nosy neighbors. I told the landlord I wanted to move in slow. No questions asked, cash deposit. He handed me the keys without looking twice. That weekend, while Jessica was at a training seminar, I took the first load. A box of tools, some paperwork from the fire safe, the spare key to my truck, stuff she'd never miss. At home, everything stayed the same. I kissed her goodbye in the mornings, helped fold laundry at night, played my part like a man running out the clock. The next week, I moved my files from our shared desktop onto a flash drive and made backups, scanned the rental agreement, the truck title, a few personal documents. Angela, a lawyer my cousin used in his own divorce, had told me once, "Document everything, talk later." Jessica never noticed. She was too busy making excuses for late nights and fake shifts. Said her supervisor was on vacation, so she had to cover. Said she was exhausted. Said she missed me. That was the one that made me smile. "Miss you too," I said, handing her coffee one morning. "Let me know if you need anything." "I don't know what I'd do without you," she replied. I nodded. "You'd manage." Bit by bit, I cleaned out my side of the closet. Old jackets, flannels, boots, gone. I told her I was donating them. She didn't care, didn't ask where. Next, I opened a new checking account, small credit union, nothing tied to our shared accounts. Every Friday, I moved a couple thousand from our joint account, enough to not raise a flag, but steady. She never noticed, because she never thought I had it in me. It happened on a Thursday. Nothing unusual. Jessica was still upstairs, asleep. Coffee was ready. But that morning I didn't pack a lunch, didn't put on my work shirt. I was already dressed. Jeans, boots, jacket. The kind with the inside pocket where I'd slipped the flash drive and documents. The truck was full. Duffel bags, a few boxes, everything that mattered. I poured a cup of coffee and drank it slow at the kitchen counter. I looked around the house one last time. The crooked photo frame in the hallway, the water stain on the ceiling we never fixed. It wasn't anger I felt, just distance. Jessica came down halfway through my mug. "You're up early?" she mumbled, tying her robe. "Big job out in Hayden," I said. "Gotta get a head start." She rubbed her eyes. "You want breakfast?" "Nah," I said, rinsing the mug. "I'll grab something on the road." She kissed my cheek like always. "Love you. Be safe." I smiled. "You too." I walked out, started the truck, and pulled away like it was just another morning. But I didn't come back. By noon, I'd changed phones. The new one had no connection to anything we'd shared. Not our plan, not our contacts. The old one? I left it powered off in the glove box, just in case. I stayed off the grid for 3 full days. Didn't call work. Didn't check voicemail. Didn't respond to anything. My brother Michael texted me on day 2. "She's calling everyone. You good?" I wrote back, "I'm good. Say nothing." "All right," he replied. That's when I knew I was really gone. Not just moved out. Gone. I'd left only one thing behind, my wedding band. Slipped it onto the center of the dining table before she came downstairs that morning. No note, no explanation, just the ring. By the end of the week, Jessica was in full panic mode. She called my job first. They told her I hadn't shown up. Then she tried Michael again. He let it go to voicemail. She even drove to my mother's house one town over, showed up with homemade cookies and fake tears. "Have you heard from Andrew?" she asked, standing in the doorway like a lost child. "Something's wrong. He left without a word." My mother didn't blink. If he wanted to be found, Jessica, he would be. Then she shut the door. In the meantime, I closed out our joint account and moved every dollar into my personal one. I canceled the lease on the house and shifted the utilities into her name. If she wanted to keep it, she'd have to pay for it. A few days later, an envelope was delivered to her by a courier. No return address. Inside were the divorce papers, neatly printed, notarized. Attached were location logs from her phone, screenshots from the tracker app, and a couple of damning photos of her with the man at the condo. Her lies, time-stamped. I added one short note. The difference between a mistake and a choice is how long you repeat it. She got a lawyer. Took a while. She was probably hoping I'd change my mind, come back, forgive her. But when the papers sat too long, my lawyer, Angela, pushed for mediation. Neutral ground, short table, 4 chairs, 1 pitcher of water nobody touched. Jessica looked like she hadn't slept. No makeup, nervous fingers. She kept looking at me like she expected me to speak first. I didn't. Her lawyer started talking, something about confusion, not understanding why I left. Angela didn't let it drag. She slid the file across the table and let the evidence speak. The lawyer glanced through the folder, GPS logs, the photos, screenshots, receipts, time-off approvals from her job. Jessica's face changed, not shocked, just cornered. Angela stayed calm, professional. She laid out everything we were filing for: infidelity, deception, financial misconduct. Jessica didn't say a word. She just looked down at the table. The pitcher of water stayed full. Within a few weeks, the divorce was finalized. Angela handled everything like a machine. I walked away with my truck, my accounts, and every dollar I'd moved before I vanished. She got her car, leased, and the apartment she moved into above a strip mall. No alimony, no payout, no fight. Clean. Even now, I don't know if she expected to win something in court. Maybe she thought the tears would matter, that she could play confused long enough to stall the truth. But you can't argue with timestamps. You can't charm your way out of GPS data. I didn't hear from her again. Until a month later. I was at the new place, frying eggs, windows open to the spring air. Someone knocked. 3 soft taps. I opened the door, and there she was. Jessica, hair pulled back, hoodie, no makeup, just standing there with a coffee cup in her hand like we were picking up where we left off. "Can I come in?" she asked, voice low. "No," I said. She blinked, like the words stung. "I made a mistake, Andrew." I leaned against the doorframe. "Yeah, you did. I didn't know how to fix it. I kept thinking I'd figure it out. You kept thinking I'd never leave." Silence stretched. She held out the cup. "I brought you one." I didn't move. She looked up. "Please don't hate me." I stared at her, at the face I used to know by heart. Then I said it, calm and clear. If you show up here again, Jessica, I'll send every file to your job and your parents. You lied for months. Don't pretend this was confusion. She didn't say anything, just nodded, eyes glassy. She stepped back, turned, and walked away with the coffee still in her hand. I closed the door, locked it. I sat down, cracked a beer, and let the silence settle. No more lies, no more shifts, no more pretending. Just me and the truth, exactly how I wanted it. Thank you for watching.